Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. I'm Madam Yanti Yacob and I will assist you to understand cellular respirations and a few subtopic under cellular respirations, which starting from the definitions up until glycolysis. And I do hope everyone have a strong internet connection. Besides, please wear the headphones or earphones to get a good sounds. These a few learning outcome. By end of this chapter, you will be able to define the principle of cellular respiration. The second one, you able to explain what is the oxidation-reduction process or redox reaction. The third one, you can describe the structure and functions of ATP. And then you're able to explain the biochemical processes in cellular respirations, including glycolysis, Krebs cycle, electron transport change, and oxidative phosphorylations. And you can define the differences between aerobic and anaerobic respirations, and also you're able to explain alcohol fermentation and lactic acid fermentation. Alright, so life is work. How the living organisms, how the living things can do the movement. We can run, we can sit, we can talk, we can do the meiosis process inside the cells. How our body do this excretion process, do the secretion process, how our body can excrete the urine. Okay, so the movements of the muscles during the excretions, during our daily routine exercise is contain energy. So this is in the term of ATP. So by eating, all the living things need to continue the life by eating. So by eating, we can gain the energy. So in order, what we eat the rice, we eat the cookies, we drink the 100 plus, all that foods contained sugar in the term of glucose, and it will be converted into ATP, and we use the ATP to do our daily routine, and our cells will use the ATP in order to make their work. Alright, this is energy flow in an ecosystems. As we all know, cellular respirations, in order to happen, it must have the presence of oxygen. So how we can get oxygen? We can get oxygen from the plants. So how plants can produce oxygens? Basically, the plants produce the oxygen by the process of photosynthesis, and it gaining the light energy from the sunlight and do the photosynthesis in the chloroplast, and it will produce the oxygens, and oxygens will be used by the living organisms in order to make the cellular respirations. It will combine with sugar, glucose, and then it will produce adenosine triphosphate, and also it will produce carbon dioxide and water. And what happened to the carbon dioxide and water? The carbon dioxide and water will be used by the plants in order to make the photosynthesis. Usually, cellular respiration is an aerobic process because it's required oxygens. By breathing in the oxygens, and there will be the gas exchange in the lungs, and what will happen next is we will breathe out the carbon dioxide, and these carbon dioxides will be used by the plant in order to undergo photosynthesis, and then the plant will again produce the oxygens, and this is very important for the living organism to undergo cellular respirations and make an ATP. So breathing is very necessary because there will be the exchange of carbon dioxide produced during cellular respiration for atmospheric oxygens, and cellular respirations use oxygen to help harvest energy from glucose and produce carbon dioxide in the process, as I said in the last slide. Alright, this is what happened inside our cells. Basically, the cellular respiration will be happened inside the cytosols and mitochondria. Inside the cytosol or cytoplasm, there will be one biochemical processes will be happen, which is glycolysis. Alright. You need to know the definitions of cellular respiration. So basically, what is cellular respiration? You are what you eat. When you eat, you will use that kind of food in order to produce the ATP. That's why bila you tengok orang yang sakit, yang tak boleh makan, okay, dia akan baring je, and dia tak ada tenaga pun untuk buat activities. Because why? Because there are no food intake. There are no glycolysis happen in order to make the ATP, in order to get the energy. So that's why orang yang sakit, dia tak makan, dia lemah, dan dia akan baring je. Okay, dia tak boleh nak berjalan, dia tak boleh nak berlari, even nak angkat tangan pun susah. So basically, you need to know the definitions of cellular respiration. Okay, cellular respiration is a process where the food molecule or organic molecule are being broken down to harvest chemical energy, which is then stored in the chemical bond of adenosine triphosphate. So this is what is cellular respirations. Okay, besides you need to know the definition, you also need to know the equations. Okay, so here I put the diagrams on equation. So C6H12O6 is referring to the glucose. Glucose ni in term of food molecule. Okay, apa-apa yang you makan dalam bentuk makanan, dia sebenarnya mengandungi glucose. Okay, plus 6O2. Ingat balik I cakap cellular respiration, in order to happen, it must have the presence of oxygens. And how this oxygen come from? It come from the plant. Okay, we breathe in the oxygen, and the product of these combinations of two compound will produce 6CO2, which is carbon dioxide, water, and also ATP in the term energy in the term of ATP and heat. Okay, so basically senang je nak ingat equation ni, glucose plus oxygen. Okay, the product is carbon dioxide, water, and also ATP. Okay, and this you nampak ada produk ATP. So this energy is very necessary for life, and it contain arrangements of electrons and chemical bond. So this will lead to electron transport change. Okay, how do cells extract this energy? So in order for cellular respiration to produce ATP, there must be breakdown of organic molecules. So you need to know inside the glucose, it have the bonding, which is carbon and hydrogen bonding, which will be broke and then it will transfer the electron to oxygen. Okay, the transfer of electron during the chemical reactions will release energy stored in this organic molecule, and this release energy is used to synthesize the ATP. So these 3 points is very important. Macam mana cellular respiration ni boleh menghasilkan ATP. Okay? Disebabkan oleh bonding antara carbon and hydrogen, okay, the transfer of electron, and then this releasing energy is used to synthesize the ATP. Okay, now we go into redox reactions. So redox reactions basically is oxidation and reduction process. You have learned this redox reaction in chemistry, so just refresh yourself. In oxidation, meaning that oxidize is loss of electrons, so it is the substance is oxidized, and reductions is gaining the electrons. Okay, so when we look at inside the diagram, can see that the A compound, okay, when the A is losing the electron, it gives the electron to the upper part of A. Okay, so we say that the bottom A is being oxidized because the bottom A is loss of losing the electron and give it to the upper A. And what happened to the upper A? We say it, the upper A is reduced because it's gaining the electron. So same goes to compound B. Alright, this is another example of oxidation reduction process. Okay, when we look at the number 2 equations, you can see that X and E referring to the electron, and the product is X alone without electron, and the electron has been transferred from X to the Y. So what happened in this process? X is oxidized because it lost off electron, and Y is reduced because it's gaining the electron from the X. Okay, as simple as that. Now, is there any redox reactions in the cellular respiration? Yes, so by memorizing the equation back, so you can see there's a redox reaction inside the cellular respiration. So ingat balik equation yang sebelum ni, glucose plus oxygen, then the product is carbon dioxide, water and ATP. So when we look at the glucose is loss of hydrogen atom, okay, and it become carbon dioxide, and oxygen is gaining the hydrogen atom and becoming the water molecule. So we can see that there's a redox reaction inside the cellular respirations. So you must remember that the electron, in order to move, it cannot move alone. It's travel with the hydrogen atom. So hydrogen atoms is very important to transport the electrons and travel from one substance to another substance. Okay. In the systems, there are electron carrier such as NAD plus and FAD. So basically, the electron that move with hydrogen atom are not being transferred directly to the oxygens, but it must pass through a carrier which is NAD plus. So NAD plus, instead of being a cofactor, kalau you ingat balik kita belajar chapter enzymes, cofactor, example NAD plus, it's also act as an electron carrier or electron acceptor during the cellular respirations. So when NAD plus is accept the electron, which is in the term of hydrogen atom, it will reduce to NADH. So NAD plus terima accept gaining the atom, hydrogen atom, so we say that NAD plus is reduced. Okay, so what happened when the NAD plus when the NADH pass the electron to the oxygens, so it can be deoxidized to NAD plus again and will act as a carrier again. So here is the process showing how NAD plus act as an electron shuttle or electron carrier. So this is a structure. The on the left side is the structure of NAD plus, nicotine amide dinucleotide. So when it accept the hydrogen atom which contain the electron from the food, okay, it will reduce to NADH. On our right hand sides, we can see the structure of NADH. So what will happen next? The H plus atom will be passed to the oxygen with the electron, and then the NADH will be oxidized, okay, and it becoming NAD plus again. Okay, there are two common electron carrier which are NAD plus, nicotine amide adenine dinucleotide, which derived from the vitamin B3, and flavin adenine dinucleotide, FAD, derived from the vitamin B2. Okay, both of these electron carrier are being used during the electron transport change to transfer the hydrogen atom and which carry the electron, okay, in order to make an ATP. Next, we go to the next subtopic, adenosine triphosphate, which is ATP. So what is ATP? ATP is a very high energy molecule that stores and transport energy within cells. It is a type of nucleotide with unstable phosphate bond that cells hydrolyze for energy. And ATP also known as energy carrier or universal energy carrier. ATP powers cellular work by coupling exergonic reaction to endergonic reactions, and ATP is hydrolyzed by additions of water, then ATP is released. So when we talk about ATP, you need to understand the structures of ATP and the ATP cycle, and also the functions of ATP for living organism. This is a chemical structure of ATP. So ATP is made up from three different groups, which is nitrogen base, which is adenine, 5 carbon sugar, ribose sugar, and 3 phosphate groups. Okay, ATP can be obtained not only by eating, but in order of chemical bond, there must be a breakdown of high energy bond in the phosphate groups in the ATP. So this is how our cells get an ATP. And the process involved in getting the energy from ATP is hydrolysis. When we talk about hydrolysis, meaning that there will be additions of water in order to break down the bond. Okay, and please continue with the next part of the slides. Okay, please click the part 2 of my lecture.